Welcome back to the Unpopular Opinion Becoming Popular. My name is Yana the Heretic, and we missed a chunk of time. Sorry about that. I had the case of the winter flu, and it was like total like mush in my brain for a bit, so I didn't want to, make any videos or else it would have been fucking chaos. But I'm gonna go back in time at the beginning of December. We're gonna catch up a little bit here. In transit, we had Gate 5, which is the gate of fixed rhythms, which the key term to that is waiting. And it lasted till December 8th, from the 2nd of December to December 8th. This is another Prometheus Godhead gate, and it is in the sacral center. So, and this one particularly, fixed rhythms, is all about routine. These people are the people that are going to have routines in their life that they like to stick to. And if you're not a part of their routine, they will likely not diverge for you. So this time frame that we're in the quarter of self-exploration and transformation, we probably felt that urge to maybe clean the garage or something for the first time in years in order to like make space for the new routines that are coming up for you, and make room for this next chapter that is going to be a combination of things that make you better, more confident, more productive person. So even though it's winter, you might have felt that extra buzz within you to like mechanically do something, create and carve a new pathway. So these people that have Gate 5, they're looking at the end of the tunnel almost in a visionary sense and seeing like, hey, this is who I'm going to become, if I do this rhythm. Or, they have this fixed pattern because they're like, yeah, this makes me stable, this makes me balanced, this makes me be able to handle these other areas of life more efficiently, without, having too much weight on your shoulders or feeling like it's impossible to, get to that goal and like go to sleep at night comfortably. So life is made of these fixed rhythms. It consists of seasonal changes, patterns in your own ecosystem, in your town. When the markets close, you got to make sure you get to the market before 6 or before 9, so you can get food for the day. The entire town has its own traffic, and people, you could see your neighbor do the same thing every morning, to get to work, or they have these routines established each season. You rake the leaves in the mid-month or whatever. So even though seasons change, like these people kind of like take one thing and replace it with another thing, but it is still a fixed rhythm because seasonally you see the lights go up. You see, people carving pumpkins. You see the same kind of thing typically every year happens, and a lot of like businesses or festivals, like they bank on it, right? Like California is vastly different from Washington. Yeah, we have festivals in Washington, but I remember being in California and that season period was a lot longer because the weather stays nicer. So everyone, books their festival gig in California because, you're gonna make the most money as a entertainer there for at least a prolonged period of time. So typically, this is like how the world's consisted of. It's a very pure sacral gate, like people are already getting prepared for their next event next year and how they're going to do it differently. So they're sticking to this like fixed pattern of where they want to go. And this is what keeps gate fives healthy. This is what they need, typically. And I've seen this actually happen to a coworker recently where they had gate 5 4 times in their chart, and they had just uprooted their life, and they're wanting that structure to happen. And without it, without a plan of what's going to happen, or without the like expectation being fulfilled, it's complete chaos for this person. And they, are subject to depression because they're like, well, I have no ability to get these fixed rhythms in my life, because I'm not being guided to have this fixed rhythm. And then the things that, were planned didn't happen. So this is where depression comes in for these people, where, something didn't go the way that it was planned. There was a situation where, I knew a 15 that is the harmonic, but the 15 as a harmonic is vastly different from the usual harmonic, interplay that we see usually, because 5 is fixed rhythms and 15 is the gate of extremes. So it's being very loose in your being very loose in your patterning. So you're not actually like doing the same thing every day if you're a 15. And watching like two people who have this is very difficult, because the 15's like, well, you have your own flow, like figure it out. And then the 5's like, no, I need like direction, I need this to happen. And that gets very complex between these types of energies. They don't understand each other, and they typically do not find time for each other in their lives, because one of them's like, well, I just go with the flow. Like, maybe tomorrow I'll do this. Maybe the next day I'll do something completely different. And the 5's like, what the fuck, How could you live your life like that? Well, the 15's typically like that skateboarder, like that lives in their van, who goes to different parks, and like sees what happens. And there's really kind of this loose, rough draft, but like they're spending time with their friends, and they're moving around and migrating, so they're having a great time. There doesn't have to be this like, point A to point B situation. So these people have trouble understanding each other for sure, especially if you're like supposed to guide people and you have gate 15 only. It's very hard for you to give a write-up of what's supposed to happen. And it's kind of like figure it out, like, you should know this, or have your own rhythm, like what can you apply to this situation. So it's very different. And then we have the 515, which is the channel of rhythm. It's design of being in the flow, which is another like completely different way of living, because the 515 is both. It's like, I have this gate or this channel, and I'm like, well, I like sticking to my rhythms, but that doesn't mean that I won't want to move, and like completely find new rhythms. And it's not that much of a problem necessarily, as much as it would be for a 5. Like, they're like the type of person that's like, well, I know I'm gonna go away to college, so I need to make sure that the college and the town that I'm gonna move to has, this yoga studio, or like a farmer's market I can go to, or like, they like to assess the culture of that place and maybe go visit prior to moving there, making sure that they feel established before they move. Whereas, I'm the type of person that I will find my fixed rhythms no matter what. And I know that, like, I'm just okay with kind of seeing what happens and then instilling my own rhythm into it, So it is definitely three types of designs that differ from each other. It's a little bit easier, in my opinion, to have a 5 with a 515 or a 15 with a 515 understand each other, because there's a little bit more of a compromise there, since the entire channel will influence the single gate. So yeah, we see that timing is very important. Like, I like to think about this in drumming and like music styles. So my partner has the gate 5, and he has a very calculated way of being in rhythm and staying on track, and he loves that rigid kind of framework to learning, and sticking to that process, because it's very traditional and by the book, and it's like erected, it's a tried and true method that exists for a reason in music. It's very theory based, whereas for me, I understand the theory, but also I like to have a different rhythm come in, and maybe it's like completely off time to the previous 4/4, very constructed time. And it's more so like that, like, I consider myself, they say the 515 is never late nor early, so it's kind of like that essence of, I'm here and I'm here to do this and present myself, so I don't have this like necessary stress, of, oh, well, I have to make sure I get there like 15 minutes early, and even though I should, I'm just gonna get there, and like my energy is gonna be so potent I will make it work, type of thing. So it could be very Saturnian, this gate, it's Father Time, Chronos, and being very punctual is important to this 5. And Smudge is trying to get on my lap. This right here is a very loose rhythm cat. Let's see. So this gate is on the cross of consciousness. For me, it just means that, there's certain collective reasons why your ecosystem functions. Like if the bars were open till 4 a.m. around here in California, or the United States. I'm in Washington, I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, like if there was no routines, then there would be utter chaos. Like, we need at least some framework of how life should work, or else like people wouldn't really be making money in a very predictable manner. I don't think it's true that it has to be so rigid, but patterns are patterns. Like, seasons change, maybe you have 2 seasons that you normally see in your ecosystem, but like generally in the Pacific Northwest, we get all 4 seasons. So there are things that are expected and you can work around like the winter or the snow, but generally like that's just how it goes. So, but you know, bars close at 2 a.m. just to make sure people are safe, you know. There's these rules and set in place so that people don't like completely go off track and like, you know, get a DUI or something, you know. So there's like these rhythms in place to keep us conscious of our actions. So just pertaining to the optimal patterns created to make life meaningful and make sense. So let's pay homage to the routines that keep us healthy because, you know, they're about mastery. You know, like if you do a little bit of something a day, whether you play like guitar for 5 hours or you read or study, you know, you're going to get better through your routine. And that's really what it's about, you know, just keeping some structure in your life. And I hope that you did clean that garage so you could focus on making more wood projects or whatever suits you. Prometheus did have to suffer day in and day out, you know, but he was trying to establish routines for humans, you know, these new routines that would build empires and success for them, like, you know, creating a way, like farming systems in order for them to wake up and have a reason to like really wake up. And they felt really good about providing, you know, more for everybody involved, food, you know, crops. Like there's things that exist because of routines, because people show up to their job and it's extremely important, or else life would just not function. And especially in this day and age, people wouldn't have food if there wasn't somebody getting up and driving that truck, and picking the fruit. And, you know, let's just pay respects to that. And it is what makes us genuinely better. So you could learn from the fives in your life. Questions of the week. Are you a fluid person that likes to see things, see how things unfold day to day? Or do you need to know exactly what will happen each week and write it all out in a planner? Do you have any routines that you have been aspiring to start? What will it take to get there? What patterns in life do you really appreciate that exist? Which patterns do you wish would change for the better? So I hope that something happened for you December 2nd to December 8th where you established something that was positive, a good routine. If you did something cool and you have a project that you're hoping to get done, tell me what that project is. Tell me what really inspired you around this transit. What are you starting? What's the transformation that will happen from it? Don't forget to comment. I want to hear about it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you all. I will see you in the next transit.